Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Manga of the Week number. Let's see, I think it's 8. Yeah, 8, so number 9, almost a 10. Hey, look at that milestone for me. um, so just starting off right away. Then last week we got a really good One Piece chapter with the rescue of the rest of Kinemon and the 9 Scabbards, and with Law and them saving the day. Unfortunately, we are on a break this week for One Piece, so, Oda gets his resting in, or whatever's going on, usually. He gets the 1 week break. We usually get like 3 chapters a month, so, hope he's resting well and doing easy. But today we still have Undead Unluck, My Hero Academia, and Dr. Stone. So, for My Hero Academia, last time we saw 2, Hawks had already taken on Twice and revealed himself, and he was destroying Twice. Like, Twice could not win the battle against Hawks alone, and then Dabi had appeared. So, then from there, for Undead Unluck, Andy got his official uniform of the Union by the Uma called Clothes, which was an Uma where it could take over your body, and if, it'll be ever what you want to, it'll be the outfit you choose to wear, but in return it can take over you if your spirit's weak, and Andy's is, main character, at least strong enough to be able to control the clothes outfit like no one else could. And then lastly, for the Dr. Stone last chapter, it was the conclusion between Ryusui and Senku in regards to their poker match. So now that that's all been cleared and taken care of, we'll continue today's chapters right away, starting with My Hero Academia chapter 266. It continues with Hawks revealing himself and Dabi attacking him, and he had used like a whole wave of flames to attack on Hawks, and he was stepping on his face, and then while he was stepping on him, he tried blowing away his face and burning him to a crisp, but Hawks was able to get away with Twice in his hand. And Dabi had mentioned that he was kind of freaked out that he was able to escape, and he was wondering how, but he mentioned how he lost most of his weapons. Hawks mentions that he nearly burned his friend, but Dabi says, well, knowing you're a hero, you're always ready to save someone's life, so I knew he'd be fine. And so Hawks is wondering if he knew he was betrayed the whole time, and Dabi just mentions that he never trusted him or believed him. And then we get more of the fight between Hawks and Dabi, and Twice is trying to escape the entire time to go help out his team and the rest of his friends. Now, the crazy part is, though, too, is like, while this is going on, it's kind of really emotional for Twice because he is constantly trying to make a duplicate of himself, and Hawks, every time he makes a duplicate, cuts apart that Twice, and Dabi's trying to burn him away. So it's a 3-way fight. It's a fight right now with Hawks versus 2 villains, basically. Twice trying to run, and then Dabi trying to burn him for trying to while protecting Twice, which you get like a really cool scene where Twice is trying to run and Dabi like gives him a high five. But then what happens is Hawks has a full opening on Twice to cut up him while he's making 2 of his clones, and Dabi actually yells out Keigo Takami, which ends up being Twice's real name, and Twice is wondering, or not Twice, Hawks' real name, and Hawks is wondering how he knows his name. From then on to, Twice is just kind of going in his head all of his failures, what he'd do, how he can pay everyone back, and then you get like this sick panel of him making another double and sending it out, but then Hawks is behind him with one of his feather blades, and the next panel you get is, which I didn't get before, that's probably what did happen, is like we just see a stab, and then the next panel over, if you look in the top corner, you actually see Twice falling as he was stabbed and hitting the pavement of the fortress. So the next part, then we get Toga and we get Mr. Compress, and they're fighting one of the heroes, and he mentions that the villain, that he mentions that, we can't just let people like you run out on society. You may have your own issues, but when you start taking out on society, we heroes can't allow that. This time it's over for the League of Villains, but then the Twice clone that we did see earlier cuts the villain in the back of the head, or cuts the hero in the back of the head and kind of kills him. And Toga and Mr. Compress are excited to see Twice, and they're letting him know, hey, you should make more clones. And he's like, well, actually, I can't, because I don't have enough energy in me anymore. He's like, it's taking forever to hold this form, like trying to hold in the dump. How? Sorry about that. So, continuing on though, from there, Twice does start explaining that everything's his fault and he's sorry, and how Hawks pulled one over him, and then he mentions the fact that how Toga has a cute face and she unfortunately got damage on it, and he's rubbing the her handkerchief that she had given him to hold him together, and like Toga, like it seems first she seems confused by what's going on. He's like, and I'm sorry I can't make more of me, as like Twice's clone is fading away and dripping away, and Toga just goes, thank you for saving me. And then we get like a part with Twice, which I'm fully gonna say is, could a guy ask for a better life? Like, die Hawks, but you don't get to tell me that I was unlucky. Being here with them, I was happy. And like he's fading away as Toga's hugging him and he's dying. So that was actually like kind of crazy how sad and hard that was to like see and hear for Twice, because you know, in his own way he was happy, but it's a twisted way still, so it's not justifiable to where it's like, hey, Twice died, dang, that's so sad, oh god, he was such a good person. Like, he was good in a sense to just other people around him, but his morals and personality, what he was doing was bad. But it still gets you enough to feel for him and pull you in to just be like, wow, Twice actually died, which is kind of crazy to see a villain die. Like, Hawks legitly goes in for the kill, and I wonder if like this could be exposed, or how the fight between him and Dobby's gonna be. So Hawks did take a good amount of damage from Dobby. I don't think it's enough to be like morally wound him or kill him, but he kept taking blows from Dobby's flame, so I don't know how much more of a fight's gonna be as far as closed space or open space. I think more open spaces, that's how Hawk's specialty is. But yeah, Twice is, as far as we know at the end of this chapter, dead. So that is goodbye Twice, goodbye good League of Villain member, and I liked the development for this chapter a lot. So then next here we have Undead Unluck, number 11, Longing. So basically we just kind of continue here. It's kind of a shorter chapter with not much, just kind of like more mystery to it, but basically they're on their way to New York City, and they mentioned that the Uma spoil and what his capabilities are is that Uma is basically just that, spoil. It essentially means to decay or rot away. In this case, the Uma spoil and his legion and their legion of homemade zombies is what he makes. So that's kind of explained from Shen to Fuko and Andy in regards to what spoil is. And it's kind of funny because like there's a whole bunch of freaking out between like Shen sneaking on board their car because Andy tried to leave Shen behind so he can make a getaway with Fuko and some kind of hotel or stuff so he can, you know, get it on with her. And what happens next is then basically Fuko's kind of freaking out because she's wondering if they even stand a chance, if they can even beat Spoil. And Shen's like, well, I have a report from their investigation. He goes, do you want to listen to it? And she's like, wait, they didn't make it all back in one piece? And he just plays it, and she starts freaking out about them not making it in one piece. And it basically just plays the sound of a whole bunch of troops and the soldiers that they had going into the land where the spoil was and dying. And it's just, that's all you hear, especially zombies eating humans. And then one thing Shen does mention is that now that Andy can go all out, and the main thing Shen points out is that how him and Andy will take care of Spoil tomorrow, and how they can't just do what they usually do. They'll actually have to be able to go full out on him, and he might be able to. Shen is excited because he might get to see Andy, the Victor Divine Conqueror, because he states that the current pushover or the half-hearted version of him is not of the one we know now. That's not the one I want to see. The one I want to see is Victor Divine Conqueror. So kind of states that Andy isn't being fully serious and there's something even more inside of him, like another personality that makes him stronger. Might have to do with what's in his head that's like maybe seals it. And then from there right now, what happens is then they're driving to the city that has like a giant border over it where this horde of zombies are, where Spoil is. And as they're driving on the truck, Andy pulls out a rocket launcher, and they're wondering what he's doing. He's like, well, the wall's in the way, and he just shoots it. And Shen and Fuko are like, what? And then the horde of zombies are coming out, and Andy asks, can they be turned back? And they're like, and Shen goes, no. He's like, that's not realistic, all their bodies are already too far gone. And he goes, I see what that means. I don't have to hold back. And he puts his foot on the pedal and just bursts through the horde of zombies with his car. And then what he does from here is he actually cuts off his own legs and hands in the air, and he lets them know that they're a bunch of rotten meatbags. He intended on killing all of them, but he'll cut them a break. If there's anyone that can still talk properly, then then he goes, well, then you better duck for it so I don't have to tear you up too. And he goes, we got business to discuss. And he uses a cool move called Bloodwing, which is, I guess, is like an engine that he uses his sword, and then his arm is like a booster with the blood along with his legs, and he spins through the crowd and just slices all their heads off. But then he does notice there is one person on the ground that just says, ah. And Andy goes, looks like there's a bunch of you that ain't totally spoiled after all, which most likely is the mastermind for that. So I think it's really cool that the author uses a guy who can die over and over again and regenerate, and that regeneration ends up giving him more abilities for boosting and such. So this blood ring move is really cool. The way the art for it and the style too, just seeing all the zombie heads being cut off and just the blood circles going around, that's dope. Alright, and then lastly we have Dr. Stone, chapter 145, bar Francois. Francois, I don't know how to say it. So this is kind of just more of a simple chapter. It's basically just mentioning that the game they had played in the previous chapter was not just a main setup for poker, but to set up a giant casino all over the boat, and where Francois runs the bar. And it's not, everyone's excited, the majority of them are excited because they think they get booze, but she lets them know that she can also make virgin cocktails as well, and Senku needs to make gum syrup, and he starts talking about the ingredients for the gum syrup, how it's the sulfuric acid and some toxic witherate, and they keep freaking out about poison. And he mentions how he's put those in the drinks before and put them in their sugar, and it's just so funny because Gen, Chrome, and Isuke are like freaking out about what Senku's doing. But then as they taste it, they realize it's sweet, and what happens is Senku had made, basically he had put together wheat, witherite, sulfuric acid to make the gum syrup, milk, he warmed up the milk to make yogurt, and then he used lemon, and he added all it together in order to make the Calpico, which is like, it's a lactic acid, like the beverage similar to Calpico acquired. So basically something else they can use in virgin cocktails. And so the first drink she makes is for Suika, and she calls it the Two-Side Sunshine, which is like a specific drink to Suika that tastes like apple at first, and then she made like a little melon head out of Suika's helmet, and then once that's put in the drink, it starts tasting like watermelon. So that gets changed up too. And then you can constantly, like, people are trying to ask for booze in the background, and then next thing you know, we just see the different drinks she makes for each character. So Tsukasa gets a cocktail of Geraldine and tonic, and then Kohaku gets a cocktail of Piquant Cinderella, and then Gen gets a cocktail of Spicy Cola. And it's funny because each drink that's being made is that they're all being made with juice, and Yo is like, so it's all just juice, no booze, no booze. In the background, he's excited for booze, but there's no booze in it. And so then what happens is then Ukyo ends up mentioning the fact that everything seems to be falling in place a little too perfectly, and that most likely that the fight that they had between Senku and Risoi was just a way for them to also benefit, to help them to get on board with everyone with a quicker voyage plan of what to do, because while Senku had his idea, Risoi had his idea, they were both thinking of the crew and both the best way to go with it, and they saw the best way to take care of the crew after it. So they basically cut their time frame altogether from, instead of being 40 days or 70 days, to 50 days. And then after that, it does mention that there's 10 days remaining towards the end of the chapter. And then the one cool thing is, too, though, is that Gen, which is pretty funny, is that he mentions that Ukyo had mentioned that maybe it was a mentalist that got them to think like that, to get them to work together. And, you know, he lets Ukyo know he's overthinking it, but he will say that he was giving it his all and then some in the poker game, and how it wouldn't have been exciting otherwise. So if nothing else, it was, my loss was a bit frustrating, my dear Senku. So it kind of just shows that Gen's even bitter that he actually ended up losing to Senku in a game of wits. And I mean, he got exposed. That's what happens when you're cheating. So I don't know what Gen really expected from it. So, and then one thing else for sure too is, like, the very ending, we get like a cool little talk about friend choice and Senku talking about his 3-layer tea latte of matcha whip, milk, hochita, and gum syrup. And so Senku says, like, if it goes on your mouth, if it all just goes in your mouth, why is it layered out? Why doesn't it just go together? And then friend choice says something like, should you choose to blend them beautifully, Master Senku, then those layers of scientific achievement will combine to become an ever so lightly sweet latte. Which is kind of like the saying of if everyone came together on a plan, then working together as a team will just make it so much more satisfying after the whole poker experience. So we just get Yo yelling out about how there's not a single drop of booze and you call that a bar. So since those are the only chapters we have this week with no One Piece, the one that stood out to me as far as development goes and good story was definitely My Hero Academia this week as far as rankings go. It's just everything that happened with Twice, Dobby, and Hawks. Dobby giving the work to both of them, basically just trying to burn away Hawks the entire time. Hawks being in pursuit of his mission to destroy or at least take down Twice or kill Twice. Hawks is the hero that will kill if he needs to, I guess, with his background. I don't know his full story, but we know that he's kind of like that agent that had to infiltrate things. So, yeah, that was really good. And just at the very end, Twice going through everything he went through, and then finally like how he felt about the League, and then Toga, and how it kind of all came together. Like, Twice is a good written villain, but he's just also insane. So there's not too much that's really good about Twice. But yeah, that's the one that stands out for me today. Is just My Hero Academia. So I don't know, I'm a little exhausted with everything that's going on in quarantine, so I'm not really gonna go over the other two chapters about how I really felt overall. I want to say at least Undead Unluck took second for me for just the development we're getting more on kind of Andy, and then Dr. Stone was kind of the last one just because it was just the boat, everyone having fun, the drinks being made. So I guess I can kind of actually switch the two now that I think about it. Like Undead Unluck, we didn't get much, but we got more in Dr. Stone. So I actually changed the two after thinking about it again. So Dr. Stone being second, Undead Unluck being third, first place being My Hero Academia. So hope you're all doing well with this quarantine stuff. Hope it's not getting to you, getting down. Try to get as much energy, sunlight, vitamin D, vitamin supplements as much as you can. And I hope you all just have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. If you see this video and have any recommendations as far as what you want me to read, let me know down in the comments below. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time when we watch The Fray. Peace out.